You're on. He might be holding a bill that I have interest in. Good morning. Well, that's a little bit better. So we can just start meeting at 11 and y'all can speak up in a decent voice. Okay. Wendell, it's just so nice to see you. Where have you been? You're forgiven. Y'all bow with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, for another wonderful day in your kingdom, we're eternally grateful for all the blessings that you give each and every one of us. We say thank you. Forgive us of our sins. None of us are perfect. And we have one way to you. Please accept our apologies for the stupid things we do sometimes. Lead us and guide us. Let us do things that please you. Keep us in your arms. Protect us. Ask these things in your Son's most holy name. Amen. Mr. Epps.
I have today on the modified structure next to the last bill, House Bill 695, which is special license plate for the Georgia Forestry Foundation. It's honoring Georgia's working forests and the benefit that they provide to Georgians. The funds raised from this sale will be dispersed by the Georgia Forestry Foundation in their educational efforts to educate about the role of forestry in our state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring before you House Bill 698 under modified structure, creating a specialty license plate for the benefit of the Georgia Tennis Foundation. Also here to bring to you House Bill 756 under structured rule. There are approximately a little over 500 cities in Georgia, all of which are required to report the use of the proceeds of SPLOST. The way the code currently reads, they're required to report that by December 31st. The issue being that a lot of cities have a fiscal year end of December 31st, not allowing them enough time to report the proceeds of the SPLOST. The bill changes that to 180 days after the fiscal year close, so some cleanup language there.
Questions? No questions, thank you. Mr. Wilkerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring to you House Bill 6. It's under modified open rule, the second bill. It deals with license plate frames. This is the one I brought the other day, that it basically would legalize the license plate frames that you see around your car, whether you be UGA, your sorority. There was a question the other day regarding talking to the state troopers, and I did that, and I think Mr. Fleming, they talked to you afterwards, and I think we're okay on that, I believe. So I would stand for any questions and ask for your favorable consideration.
Do we have any questions? Where'd you get that number on that bill? Is the devil made you do it?
No, I don't think so. As I mentioned to the other folks the other day, I did some research, and that bill has passed this chamber before. So I would think this would be an opportune year to show that we can overcome that.
Mr. Setzler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author, this is not a set of leading questions, just a simple question. I've seen some of the frames. Is that what you're calling them?
Yes.
All don't seem to be created equally. Some seem to be very thick and very sort of expansive. Others are just smaller things. I mean, I don't know if you've defined an extent of the frame, and I know you talk about the numbers being visible. I'm not a law enforcement officer, but when I see something, I can't even tell what state it's from. I've seen some, I can't even tell if it's a Georgia license plate. All I see is numbers. That's relevant to me. I don't really have a suggestion to you about this, but this is a proposition that's being prepared. I don't know that it's unreasonable to want to see the state in which the license plate, but I mean, it's a conversation we can have. I don't know how rigorously you've defined that.
Yeah, and thank you for that question. And that's why I did speak with law enforcement, and we did talk about as long as you can, it's readily identifiable, I think is the term that would cover that. So if it's readily identifiable, those thicker frames you would not be able to see whether it be the expiration date or may not be able to make out the numbers, but this clearly says that you have to be able to make out each one of those. And in our conversation with the colonel the other day, he called it common sense legislation. He said they would never enforce the law as it's written now. It's usually your localities that do that, but he said it's common sense is the words that he used.
In other words,
but thank you for the question.
In other words, none of the localities have common sense.
I did not. I will follow your direction on that, Mr. Chairman.
Is that what you said, really? Mr. Willard.
Thank you. Mr. Wilkinson, I read a case just this morning that the stealing and displaying of a decal is not considered a crime in Georgia, although the stealing and displaying of a license plate is considered a crime. And I'm wondering, that's apparently a loophole where people steal the decals, so they rather than have to go and do their registration. Would you have any objection to your bill going back and having that modified to go with this bill?
If you think that's appropriate, I mean, I would.
It's
I would follow that direction.
It's been recognized by the appellate courts that we do not have a criminal sanction against the stealing and displaying of a decal that people have to buy every year.
Okay. And I do have a question. If you did that, would you just send it back to the committee, or would you recommend that I get another bill number? I just saying, if we're going to send it back, you know, I will follow your direction on that.
Well, it's on a modified structured bill basis, right?
No.
Modified open vote.
I would suggest maybe a appropriate amendment going on your bill to the floor. When it goes to the floor, might be a way to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Y'all, it's gotten a little bit out of hand. I get a nice little thing from Wounded Warriors. It's a tag holder that's red, white, and blue like a flag. I can't see my county or In God We Trust, and I can't see Georgia on it. How is my state troopers and my locals supposed to enforce when they don't know where it is, unless, you know, they can just pick out the color and say that's a Georgia tag? There's something the matter. Think about it. No more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Stovall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Rules Committee. I come before you requesting your favorable consideration of HB 493, which is the first one on their modified open rule. And this particular legislation is about fairness and transparency in government. What it will allow is for anytime videotaping is taking place and it's recorded for any city council, county commissioner, or school board, that they have to include public comments into that video recording. So what's been happening across the state, when that time comes, a lot of the local governments have been editing the public comment part out of it. And just so in further support for this bill, right now, anytime you're storing video, you can store it up on the YouTube at no cost. So that was one of the issues that some of the local cities or government had a problem with, the cost on it. And as far as if anyone has any profane language or anything that's inappropriate, you can always put an advisory notice prior to someone viewing it. But I think that it's very important for our public to be able to have comments about what's going on in our local government. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Willard.
Thank you, Ms. Stovall. Let me ask you, I understand what you're wanting to accomplish, but I think your bill is going to have a chilling effect and the opposite effect, which is to say, okay, if we got to record everything, including public comment, we just won't record anything at all. So therefore, the public loses the benefit of seeing what happens during the actual business public meeting for a reason that we're now compelling them to have everything from comments included with a meeting program.
Well, I disagree that it will end up causing causing local governments to not record. I think that when you're talking about public comment, and if you don't get a chance to make it to the meetings, this is another opportunity for those who can't make the meeting to know exactly what's going on with our local government. And I know it's not, you're usually, from what I've researched, it's usually no more than about 3 minutes that's given allowed to per person for commenting. So you're not talking about an additional, they're actually doing more work when they go in and edit out the video than just letting it run all the way through, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. One follow-up. Of course, time-wise, I've seen public comments go for hours in a meeting of a legislative body like the City Council and County Commissioners. We're really looking for the need of what happens at the time of the business meeting, are we not?
Well, I think that in response to your comment, that that's still left up to the local government as far as how many minutes that they allow for public comment time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Golick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to make sure I understand, that what your bill says is that if local government is going to go ahead and record a meeting, that they have to go ahead and record public comment as well, and to retain that public comment when they go ahead and post it on the internet. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. So if they're not current, like I have, there are cities across the state that are not videotaping. So this bill does not say that they have to start recording. These are only for the ones who are already recording, that they have to include that part into it.
If they're going to go ahead and record, if they've recorded the public comment section, by virtue of recording it, does that not become a open public record at the moment they record it?
According to how, when I talk with Legislative Council, according to how the bill, Open Records Act, is stated in the code, it gives them flexibility not to include that in it.
Okay, so it gives them flexibility to not include it in the posting of their video of the meeting online on the county or city website, whatever it may be. But if they've gone ahead and recorded it, at that moment in time, does it not become an open record? And if they go ahead and delete it, aren't they actually deleting an open record?
Well, that's what I thought as well, so that's why I wanted to introduce the bill to make sure it's clear across the board. As far as there's no vague in the in the legislation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Setzler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does your bill make them post it to the website or simply keep the recording of the information?
Well, it'll be however they're normally posted, and it's not required in the bill as far as how they're doing it. So, say for instance, like right now, they're not including it. So, say like we're in the meeting now, we're recording the entire meeting, and then however we would post it, like we're posting it on our video feed. So they would do the same thing. Only thing this bill does is says that if you're going to record the whole entire meeting. That includes the public comment time.
Mr. Chairman, the reason I asked the question is it was raised by Chairman Golick's question. I do think there's a duty, pursuant to open records, that they be recorded. Or recording is one thing, posting them to the website's another. I can see there being an inducement for hundreds of people to kind of swell down to a commission meeting just because they're going to guarantee they're going to get their 2 minutes of speaking on the website. I can almost see a perverse incentive for people to almost to disrupt government to come down if there's a guarantee that it's going to be posted. I think it's a different question whether it's simply recorded. So I don't know if there's a way to sort of parse that out. But
Okay. Well, I think that when you start weighing, and I understand those concerns because it did come up as far as people not wanting to get their 10-minute or 3-minute of fame. But I think when you look at the overall totality of it, you want to make sure it's fair and knowing what's going on. Because I've seen plenty of times where I've sat and looked at the video, and that part was cut out, and then there's a conversation going on because of a public comment, and you don't know because you were not there present at the meeting.
Now, over on this is Ms. Drenner or Ms. Drenner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Stowell, so I understand the intent of what it is that you are wanting to accomplish. You said that now they spend a lot of time editing the comments out in order to post the meeting online. Will they just now edit and just put the public comments on YouTube, or will they put the entire content of the meeting on YouTube?
That'll be the entire content. So what I'm saying, just like now we're in the meeting, you start the recording, so you don't have, and then once the meeting is over with, then that's how they post. And I just gave an example because there might have been a question about the cost factor on it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I brought up the part about YouTube, and that's what we use here at the state capitol.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now ask for your favorable consideration.
Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 588 has to do with employee retirement system. It would allow members of the retirement system to purchase an annuity using funds that they have in a 401k or 457B plan. There is no maximum, but there is a minimum amount that they would be able to transfer into that lifetime annuity of $25,000. There is no cost to the system because it's the members' money that they're putting into that lifetime annuity, and well, the only cost would be to administer it. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 692, and Chairman Maxwell's not here today, so I'm first of all, this is a non-fiscal retirement bill, and the bill would amend provisions relating to deferred compensation plans. Specifically, what this bill does would allow the governing authority of a municipality to pay the cost or fees associated with employees' participation in a deferred compensation plan. And it also sets up, establishes an automatic enrollment arrangement.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Earhart.
I haven't had a chance to get deep into the bill yet, but a question for the author or for Representative Green. Are there limits on the fee-based plans that the municipality can, I mean, you could get into a fee-based deal that's 2, 3, 4, 5%. Is there a limit on what a municipality can pay for those types of fee-based plans? Why not get into a plan that's non-fee-based?
I think that each city has their own administrator. A lot of them join together. They're very competitive, otherwise they wouldn't get to have the thing. It seems to be that it's been very successful doing it this way. Just sign them in, they have to sign out. A lot of people just, with the state, for instance, you don't sign up thinking I ain't gonna be here but 2 or 3 years, and then the next thing you know it's 10 years and you've thrown that out the window. If they don't want to do it, they have to sign off on it, and it seems that it's more beneficial for the employee in the long run, and the cost, I'm sure that, you know, it's kind of like your own account. If you're paying more than 1%, you're getting ripped off anyway. So,
Agreed. I'm completely in agreement with the concept. I'm looking at what we're doing across the budget, over $360 million in the individual unfunded liabilities from the state, the county, the municipalities, and those are mostly on defined benefit pieces, but I don't want to go down the same road for the DCs either.
Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. To the author, the question in the code section, it also allows the ERS plan to do this. Is that the intention as well? I mean, in the overview, it says governing authority or municipality, but the gentleman realized this also would allow the ERS retirement system to enter into these.
Mr. Green, have you anything else?
Mr. Chairman, in the retirement committee, what you were stating to Representative Earhart is true. That's what they had stated to us. The portion of about the employees' retirement system of Georgia, what are you specifically asking there?
Draw the gentleman's attention, and I'm looking online. I don't have a hard copy, but I'm assuming I have the same bill. On line 14, in order to allow municipalities to do this, line 14 and 15 reads, the Board of Trustees of the Employees Retirement System of Georgia or the plan administrator. It's just, that's a section of law that covers both the ERS and the locals. So by trying to do this for the locals, you are also enabling the employees retirement system, which covers a larger piece and would in fact potentially have an impact on state dollars, unless I'm misreading something.
That did not, Mr. Chairman, that did not come up during the meeting that it was, no, the
lines 14, 15, 16 basically
it's
says that it's
basic law,
no cost to the state. This is apparently directed more towards cities or the municipalities, and that any costs that come out of that, the cities
would
pay. And they apparently want it. So, and I think it's from participation. Any other questions? All right. See, that went pretty good. We need these people that are absent up here. What is this? Is that leadership? Maybe they should have a meeting all the time. Mr. Benton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The proper time to ask for a bill or put your name beside a bill that is on the sheet?
Yes.
I'd like to put my name beside House Bill 695, please.
All right, Mr. Harrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under structured rule, the first bill, House Bill 729, this simply repeals some outdated language that's no longer necessary to appear on our property tax bills as a result of the state no longer taxes real property.
Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to put my name beside House Bill 695 and House Bill 692.
Okay, that's it. So we're going to set the calendar for February the 6th, tomorrow. Under structure, HB 729, do I hear a move? Any opposed? It's on. Under modified structure, HB 398, second. All those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? It's on. Under open rule, HB 588, do I hear a move? All those in favor signify by aye. It's on. Under open rule, HB 692. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed, same sign. It's on. That's it.